About how leading up to the election, this relationship with Uranium One goes back to 2009. The bribery goes back to 2009. The CFIUS decision is in 2010. So the bribery precedes, and the FBI's knowledge of the bribery and the informant precedes the approval of selling 20% of U.S. uranium overseas. So that's the first question that has to be answered here with this is, why did the CFIUS get approved? And we're going to look for those documents. Again, I don't really trust in the human testimony very much. I go right to the documents first and then let the humans figure out, what their testimony is going to be after the documents come out. And this is a good example. I published the Urenco, I believe Chaguri, who's a longtime Clinton donor, I think in the $100 million to $1 billion. I think he actually committed $1 billion. I think he's going to be involved with Urenco. They're shipping quite a bit to Urenco in 2008 and 2009, about 1 million kilograms, which is quite a bit. About a quarter of that is going to Tenex in Russia. But then in 2015, it makes this huge jump of 128 times jump or over 100 times jump for this company called Tenex. And they also increased by 80% their amount that they're sending to Urenco. So it's sort of constantly growing, but then there's this huge spike 2015. Now, is that for Hillary planning for her election, for a war chest for her election? I believe it is. That's where we really start bringing in a whole bunch of people from overseas to do the trucking. So there it is, very document-based. Again, now this is another interesting person here, this guy called Krupnik, and he's kind of made out to be Greek, but he really isn't. He's Russian. His wife is Russian. I think Anna is his daughter. And this is his own petition in Maryland District Court for citizenship, which they are then awarded, I believe, suing Chertoff. So again, with Hillary saying that there's no Russia connection, these people are actually running the Krupniks, or Pavel Krupnik here is actually running United States Enrichment Corps. So we're letting Pakistani terrorists go so they can keep the drug corridors open. That happened yesterday. So this is Krupnik's email at United States Enrichment Corps, and then of course he's running the ports there at United States Enrichment Corps, and his job is Director of International Programs at United States Enrichment Corps. Now I believe what he's actually doing is he's recruiting truckers. He's going to be recruiting Uzbeki truckers or different truckers along the routes, along these corridors that these Mumbai attackers like to blow up every once in a while in that corridor up in Kashmir, up in the Kashmir corridor there. So I believe he actually is going to be recruiting the Uzbeki truckers. I think Saipov is going to be one of those guys. We don't know that yet, but he obviously speaks Russian, and he is running international programs at USC, and he is running the ports at USEC. Okay, so just basically put out the documents and different cases and so forth, so you can look at that. You can add to it your own value add. I still say that these EB5s, all these Mueller indictments, are these EB5s from all the people that Hillary brought in to do exactly this kind of work. Now, I'm not saying it's just people that are trucking companies and bringing in the Saipov. Saipov is the guy who ran down the people in Chelsea in New York recently. He had, I think, 5 different trucking companies that we know about. He brought in 22 different people with the EB5s. We don't know how many trucking companies he had. But I believe a great number of the people in these sealed indictments are going to be either EB5 truck owners, where Saipov's taken a part ownership, or they're going to be MS-13 type drivers, handlers, loaders and unloaders and so forth. But I think that's going to be the 2,000 indictments. Some of them, a goodly percentage. I'm saying about 1,000 will be that. So we'll wait for these stories to break. Oh, here I also publish all these additional ones. There's many more additional export licenses that we have to look at. I can just switch over to that. So this hasn't, we've just begun the process of looking at all the different export licenses. Excuse me, there they are. So lots of different transport logistics, and the person who emerges here, who's a signatory on all these, is Mark Lambert, and we can see really clearly that he's not just a trucking guy. He's actually much more than a trucking guy. He looks like he's actually did the actual application, the logistics application called for channel logistics. I think that tie-in, there's going to be a tie-in to the channel logistics through Mohammed Tahir Awan. I believe they're going to be Facebook friends, and you're going to see a tie-in between channel logistics and transport logistics. Transport logistics is really the back end, what I call the back end, the transportation side of any logistics thing, and then there's an acquisition end or a front end where you're going to need satellites and you're going to need a interface to interface with the transportation system, the database.